Hey everybody, it's Chris. We had so many questions on the last couple videos or reels that we needed to address them, but it was going to take too long to do it in 90 seconds, which is all you have on a reel. So we figured we better do a YouTube video and explain a bunch of things that people may have questions on. People may not have questions on. If you've been canning for years, you may know all this already. But we've kind of been duped for years in thinking some things that we couldn't do. And after there was a shortage on lids for a long time, we found out there were things we could do, and I don't know why we were always taught the other way. So let's just start out the basics. I'm going to pretend you don't know anything about canning. Canning, we use jars, lids, or flats. That's what these are. And some are definitely better than others. And then these are called rings. The rings hold the flats on the jars. And you don't crank it down. You just very lightly do that and then back it off a little bit. What happens when you can, you change the pressure in the jar. And when it cools off, it pulls the lid down. That's why you get that sound. When it pulls down, you get that sound. And that's every canner's favorite sound in the world. There's all different kinds too, like I had said. These I can't find anymore. These were just plain old Walmart lids. The flats, they worked great. And they were super cheap. Gone since 2020. Harvest Right, I've seen some of these coming back. They're okay. They work fine. I haven't had trouble with them. The ones I would stay away from, Ball is a good one. And then these I have recently found, and these are quickly turning into my favorite flats. I'll show you why. I don't know if you can see. They're actually thicker, and you can feel that they're thicker. We weighed them, and they're milligrams heavier. They're not that much heavier. But you can just feel that it's thicker. You can't get that ding on this unless you use two thumbs. The silicone that's in there is definitely thicker. You can reuse them more than you can reuse these. And that's the other thing. You can reuse your lids. There's no problem with that. I talked to a canning friend, or an Amish friend, and I asked her about canning, and I said, so what do you reuse your lids on? She said she will use new lids on things that are most important. So like meat. She uses a new lid on that because we're pressure canning that. But when you look at them, you can tell whether you can reuse them or not. If that rubber in there is pushed all the way down, it's no good. This one's fine. This one's brand new. And they come, when you get them, they're pushed down when they're on the jars anyway. So lids or flats, rings are these things. Now, there's also, I don't use these to can in anymore just because the jars are just too fragile, and I don't want to break them, and I have other options, so it doesn't matter. But when you get the jars, you'll see at the bottoms, you can actually see where they're thinner and thinned out. Glass is a liquid, and it pulls very slowly. This is a bung with a lid, and then it also uses a rubber. So they do still make these. These stretch over the jar. Hook on. All right, they do, I promise. They stretch over. You put it on. There's a notch to hold the bung. Flip it up, lock it down, and can like you normally would. You totally can use these. There's nothing wrong with these. I just don't have enough confidence in these jars because mine are so old and thin. There's those. These are regular. Now, the thing we use for our honey, we use one-piece lids. And you can see it has the pop-up button. And I specifically buy these with the button so that after you get your honey and you have your jar, because we sell our honey in mason jars, you now have a canning jar with a lid that we haven't used. We just put it on. These totally work. There's my grape juice with the lid. See the buttons pulled down. Totally works. Tatler is another lid. They're plastic flats, and they use the rubber gasket as well. There's a learning curve to Tatler. If you're starting and you want to use reusable lids of some kind, get one pack. There's definitely a learning curve with it. I use them. They're okay. They work fine. Of all the failure, though, that's the one that I've had the most failure with. Then we talked about the Weck jars. They have the clips. This is just my jar with all the clips. They have the clips and the glass and the rubber. Now, a lot of you will remember these from when we were kids. This is kind of how they were, right? They still work. They're fine. As long as you can find the rubbers, they're fine. And you put those on. I think you put 3 when you're canning with them. And these work great. I really like them. So, what we've been told... Oh, one more. Where'd it go? In my basket. These, do you remember these? These were old glass lids from Ball. Atlas had them. All the other companies had them. They are smaller though. See these? They just fit. They'll fit on a regular mason jar. And these kind of end up like the Weck jars then. You can't use a clip, but you can use a ring. But they really don't tighten down. You have to be careful. So if you get it just so, it might stay. The old rings were different and they were zinc. So if you can find those, you can still use these. I did get some. They work fine. They work fine. Yeah, so that's the glass with the rubber gasket. Okay. These lids, you'll see these. These are not for canning. These are strictly for storage. So if you open a jar of pickles or something and you don't want the 2-piece lid, say you're using these, then you can switch over to one of these. It's less messy. It's easier to wipe off and that. So what did we always do? We'd get a jar, we'd recycle it, throw it away, and never use it. Why? Because that's how we were raised. We just didn't reuse jars. Social media has told us, taught us from people in other countries that that's all they have to can in. They don't get mason jars with flats. When they get a jar from the store, this is what they can in using this lid. As long as your lid has that little soft rubbery bead around it, you can totally use it. I've been doing it ever since. I learned that 4 years ago. It totally works. These jars were great. I don't even remember what was in here. Probably mushrooms or something. I don't know. But it worked great for dilly beans because it's nice and tall. It worked good for asparagus. But it's just the same old, it's the jar. That's it. We've been told forever we can't do it. Rebel it up. These ones I get garlic in at Two Rivers Olive Oil in Beaver. And these make great jelly jars because it looks like this very stately jar. You can take all the label off and everything and it seals. It works great. And then there was one last one. Oh, so if we run out of sauce once in a while. Whatever, it's going to happen. I always look for the mason jars that use a regular lid. So you get the jar and the sauce. And you can use the lid again. But if you get a deep lug jar, the lids fit on, just keep this lid. because a regular mason jar lid does not fit on these. See, it's just small enough that it won't. So just keep that. You can use this lid. Capacity wise, these jars hold slightly less than a regular mason jar. I'll put a reel on tomorrow showing that, the difference in how much it holds. They're still great to use. Like, it doesn't matter to me if I use this little one for spaghetti sauce or tomato soup or corn or whatever, but just know that it's just going to hold a little bit less. I think that was all I brought out of the basement today. If you have any other questions, just put them in the text and we'll see if we can get them answered. All right, thanks for watching. See ya. Like us and follow us, please, if you want to see more videos. Okay, see ya, bye.